Hello, I'm Crafty Patti, and thank you for coming back to watch part 2 of this series. Part 1 was on how to make the Crazy Quilt, and if you did miss that video, don't worry, the link for that video is in the description box below this video. Now this time, we're going to do all that lovely embroidery on the quilt square, and we're also going to make the pillow. And to finish up our pillow top, we're going to come in now and do all our little beautiful embroidery stitching to match it up, just like Oma did back in 1991. It looks like I've got some white, light pink, and some dark pink, so I'm choosing the same colors to go on to my pillow so it kind of brings it together. And again, I prefer the DMC embroidery cotton. And if you try to use a cheaper embroidery cotton, you're going to get frustrated and it's going to tangle on you, guaranteed. But you don't need to take both of these off, but just so it's easier for me, so I can see what I'm doing and viewing in the camera at the same time. I'm just doing it this way. I'm going to unravel from the skein here between 2 and 3 feet and no more, because if you do more, guaranteed it is going to tangle on you. And now I'm going to separate this because it's always 6 strands, and we're going to try to find where the 3 strands on each side are sitting closest together. And it makes a difference because when you go to pull these apart, it is so much easier if they're sitting side by side. Let's see if I can show you up close here. So when I unravel this, here's 3 that are sitting closest together, and these 3 are wound together. So once you've got them separated, that's best you can, what I like to do is I hold the tail end in between my knees and then I unravel it. So here's my tail, and I bring it right down to where I'm starting to bring them apart, 3 strands each, and then I just pull it apart where my knee is. And if you've got good quality embroidery cotton, you'll be able to go all the way up and it will not tangle on you. The beauty of good quality. So now we've separated 3 strands each. For your needles, you can use a crewel or embroidery needle. And if you choose to have one that's got a little bit of a thinner shaft, which is easier for sewing, you'll have a little bit of a smaller eye. If you go up a little bit, you'll have a larger eye, easier for threading, but it will have a little bit of a thicker shaft, but will work. The easiest way to thread your needle is, because you've got 3 strands coming through a little bit of a smaller eye, is I hold the embroidery thread over the eye of the needle and I pull down really hard so it makes a really sharp edge on the thread. And then I slide it off the needle, and then I look for the eye of the needle, making sure that it's horizontal, and then I come right over top of where my thread is, and I bring it up through the needle. And then you can grab onto that and pull it through. And then you've threaded your needle. You do not need to knot the end. I will show you what we're going to do. You can choose to use an embroidery hoop when you're doing embroidery work, or you can choose to just do it freehand by just holding it in your hands. And I actually prefer that method, but you can try both, see what works best for you. The embroidery stitch that Oma had used is called the herringbone stitch. And sometimes people find it easier to look at a diagram rather than following me, but I can show you as well. Now, if you're right-handed, you'd be holding the needle in this way and you'd be working like this. Now, I'm left-handed, so that's why I want to show you this diagram so you can hopefully follow what they're doing in the diagram here, because I'm going to be showing you left-handed. I will attempt to show you right-handed as well and see how that goes. And we're going to go around this little pink section here. And I'm going to start about here. So what I'm going to do is come about 1 inch away, and I'm just bringing my thread, so I'm catching just the top material, not the foundation fabric on the back, and I'm going to come down until it pops up right where I want to start my embroidery. So let's say I want to start right there. So what I'm going to do is just let this come through, and then be really careful not to pull it all the way through, just so it's right underneath the fabric, and you can just go like that just to get that last tail in. So to start your first stitch, you can hold on to that so you don't lose it. Now we've started on the bottom here, and it almost looks like you're going backwards. So you're going to sort of sew this way, but you're forming your herringbone stitch going this way. So now from the bottom here, we're going to come up to the top here. Now you can choose to have it so it's going really close to this line here, but I'm going to choose to cover and have it going right over top, and this seam will be in the middle. So here's our stitch here. I'm going to come just up to the top here, but to the left, and I'm going to make a little stitch that's about 1/8 of an inch long. Zoom in as much as I can here, and there's my 1/8 of an inch stitch. So this is going to come through, and you're going to finish that stitch pulling it all the way through. You're going to leave your embroidery thread up to the top here, and then your next stitch, here's where you came in. This is right below. You're going to back it up to about 1/8 of an inch, and then you're going to make your diagonal stitch right here, following in the same depth as your very first stitch, and you're going to pull that stitch through. Now we're going to the top again. Here's this stitch. Look above, right above, back it up, and make your 1/8 of an inch stitch. Here's your top one, straight down, back it up, and horizontal stitch. And that's how you do your herringbone stitch, your embroidery stitch. If you're right-handed, you're going to be starting on the left side, and you're going to work this way. And again, you're just going to pull that through just till it's not showing anymore. And now our first stitch on the top here, here's our stitch down here, follow it up, back it up, and you're coming this way and making your small little horizontal stitch. And if I look awkward, it's because I'm left-handed. Okay, there's the first one. All right, so now again, follow it down, back it up, and make your horizontal stitch. And now we're on the top again. Last stitch, up, back it up. And the more consistent you are with your horizontal stitches here, the better it will look. Okay, I'll do one more because this is really awkward for me being not being right-handed. Okay, down and back it up. Staying the same distance away from that seam so all your stitches are consistent. And there you go. I managed a herringbone with my right hand. Yee-hee. And I just wanted to point out I'm using my fingers underneath on the back side. I'm holding it over here and my fingers are underneath. And so when I come up for the next stitch, I'm using my fingers to kind of push it through from the back side. And then you can use your thumb as well to guide your needle. So I don't know if that little bit of helped you. When I'm up here, my thread is always going up. And then when I come down, I make sure my thread is always down, and then you're not getting it tangled up and putting the needle where it shouldn't be going under or over the thread. So just a little hint there. And I'm actually just trying it now without the embroidery hoop. And I don't know, maybe it's a bit easier this way. Both works. I think I'm liking this actually better because you've got more control of the needle coming out of your fabric, and you can use your bottom finger and your thumb for more control. When you're coming to the end of a section and you're getting low on embroidery thread, what I would like to do is, instead of coming back this way, now again I'm doing it left-handed right now, and making my 1/8 of an inch horizontal stitch, what I'm going to do is I come back in and just finish it off by coming straight down, and then it just finishes off the last little cross like that. And then I can go back to the back side, and you can make just a little tiny stitch in the back. And then if you're running out of embroidery thread and you don't have enough length to have the needle go through, you can come back with the back end, pop it through that loop, and then pull, and you've made a little tiny knot. And then just to finish it off, you can come through and just like we did in the front side, bring it through a little bit and cut off your end, and that's how you finish it off. If you have a section that you're doing all the way around in the same color, then by all means go all the way around. You don't have to stop. I started here and then I came to here. I'm here now. So here's my last stitch on this row coming this way. And if I was to continue with that same angle as this angle, it would come over this way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little tiny bit of a cheat. So I'm going to put the needle down into my seam line here so you kind of don't see it. And then I'm going to come up for my next stitch that will start my next row right there. Making sure I don't go underneath that, of course. So let's get that pulled through and we'll see what we've got. Okay, so now I've got it pulled out and I'm ready to start my next row. Again, same as before, we're right here, coming up and back for my first stitch for that next row. And there we go. I'm back and I'm now completing the next row. And I've come up this side and I've got another side to do here just to finish the section right here. And here's my last stitch here to complete that stitch. It would be coming up like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down to complete my stitch right there, and then I'm going to come up underneath and then start it on the bottom again right here, right there. And then I can turn my fabric and start the next row. I've made my turn, I've finished off this one, and now here's my next row, up and back. I'm sewing this one looking at the camera and not looking at my sewing, so it might be a little bit uneven, but I just want to make sure I'm in camera for you. So if you're wondering why it doesn't look as pretty, that's why. And here's my finished row here, and here's the start of another color, which is fine. So what I'm going to do is to finish this off, I'm just going to come over and make my cross, and I'll bring it down right there, right through to the back, and that will be the finishing, and it'll look like that. I have now finished all the beautiful embroidery on my Crazy Quilt square, and now we're going to make it into a pillow. And here's a close-up of all the herringbone embroidery using the dark pink, white, and a light pink. All done. Same supplies will be useful for doing your pillow with the addition of a 12-inch zipper. This is a closed-end zipper and it's a lightweight 12-inch or 30 centimeters. There's the closed end, and a 12-inch will work beautifully for the 16-inch pillow form that I have bought from my local fabric store. And you'll want to get some thread that's a similar color to your zipper and the rest of your project that you're working on. And because I'm using a 16 by 16 inch pillow form, I will be cutting my backing 16 by 16, and we'll have to cut down our pillow top for the Crazy Quilt also 16 by 16. So all three are the same size. That will give you a nice snug pillow so it's not flopping around. I was a little short on fabric on this corner, so I'm going to choose to clean up this edge and this edge first, and then I'll scrap and make sure I've got a 16 by 16 inch top for my pillow. I've squared up these two edges, so I'm just going to flip this around, and I'll make sure that that is right up onto my grid lines, so I've got a true square. Now if you have a serge bowl, means you can go around and just do a nice edging here so it doesn't unravel if you're going to be washing this a lot. But I don't have a serge, so I'm going to zigzag around my whole edge here. When you're doing your zigzag, make sure that you're within the seam allowance because you're going to be making 1/2 inch seams. So you don't want your zigzag to show on your pillow. So you want to be fairly close to your edge. On my particular foot, my red mark here shows where my needle is going to come down. So I'm going to be watching that as I go around to make sure it's close to the edge but not off of my edge. I'm starting further back so it doesn't lift up on the very first part, and then I can catch that on the way around. When you get to your corner, make sure that your needle is on the right hand side so you can pivot and then come down your next side. And by doing this zigzag, it will also help to tie down any embroidery that you had close to your edge, and that will secure that as well. I used the darker thread so you could see what I was doing, but of course you can use a thread that complements your pillow top. Decide what edge you want to put your zipper on. Because the giraffes are sitting upright this way, I'm going to choose it as my bottom, and that's where I'm going to put my zipper, on this edge. So you're going to be placing your right side towards the right side of your pillow top. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take this over to the ironing board and iron, and we're going to iron over 1/2 inch on this edge all the way along. And this one is going to get folded over 1/2 inch, and we're going to press that in place. If you're not good at estimating your 1/2 inch, this is where I like to use my sewing knitting gauge. I've got it at 1/2 inch, and I can just place it up here so my turnover edge is right on the edge here, and my little red marker is on the edge there, and that tells me I've done exactly 1/2 inch. And then I just keep moving it over and ironing as I go. And the same for your pillow top. because we have 16 inches for our pillow backing and we have a 12-inch zipper, that gives us 2 inches on both sides that we need to sew in, and then this will be our zipper opening. So we're just going to make a mark at the 2 inches on this side. So we're going to open up where we ironed and we're going to place a mark right here. That tells us that's where we're going to stop sewing, up to there, and the same on the other side. Find your 2-inch marking, and that's where we're going to stop sewing right there. Now we're just going to open this up for now so we can sew right sides together. And you're going to put your pin in there, but you're only going to sew up to there. And the same on this side. Match up your raw edges, open up your bottom, cover, and your backing. So right sides are together, raw edges are together. I have put my matching pink thread in now, and we've already made our crease with our iron, so we can follow that, and we're going to sew up to our marking. Going slowly till I get to my blue line. Going to back stitch. And come forward again. And then that's good for that side, and we're going to do the same for our other side. And I prefer to sew from the inside fabric going to an outside edge so it doesn't pull up and pucker. So I'm starting this way. I'm going to start on my blue line. I'm going to come forward a few stitches, and my machine actually automatically does a back stitch, but I'm going to reinforce that a bit more. So I'm hitting my reverse on here. I'm going to go back to my blue line just so it's nice and strong till I hit my blue line, and then we'll come forward again. And this is where we've sewed on the end and on the end. We're now going to take this and open it up so the right side is facing down. And then we can open this up and we're going to place our zipper right inside here. And now we're going to place the zipper right along that edge. So your zipper is following your opening here, and that's where you stopped right there. So you have to probably back that up just a bit there. And the same on this side. You can see where your little end of your zipper ends here, and you can see where it ends here. If you did a good job of ironing your 1/2 inch on each side, that you'll know that when you place your zipper down, it'll be right in the middle because the same amount of fabric is overhanging here as it is on this side over here. And then once you've got that matched up and you've got your fabrics butted up together underneath, you'll know that your placement is correct when you've got the same amount of fabric showing on both sides. So let's just pin that through both sides here. Just helps to keep it all together nicely. Have your zipper pulled up as far as it will go when we're doing this one side. Then you can come along a little further here. And then when we get close to here, we will unzip the zipper and then finish it on this side. And time to take off your sewing foot and add on what you have for your zipper foot. And depending on your machine of how your zipper foot is, but I need to place it so I've got my zipper foot on this side. Like so. Now I'm ready to sew down this side, and for me, my zipper foot. This bar here is sitting along the edge here, and that's my guide that I'm going to use to sew all the way along. And once I've gotten close to my zipper, I'm going to raise my presser foot, get my zipper underneath, and pull that away. And then I can finish sewing down this side. And I've sewn down just far enough that when I do a pivot, I'm going to miss that piece of plastic right there. And then I'll sew across. And if you look underneath, you'll see where you ended with your sewing. So that's just about perfect where I'm going to sew across right there. So I'll just do my pivot. Grab the other side of your zipper. And now we're going to sew down the other side. And I'm just placing these together so it looks like the teeth are together. And then we're going to match up our edge here. I can see my edge here. And I'm going to just sew straight across there. I'm just going to lift my foot here just to make sure that is underneath the presser foot. And continue across. And I'm looking for this one line here. I've got a little bit more closer to go here. One more, maybe one more. Okay, let's try that. Pivot. And now don't worry too much if this is opening up. That's okay. As long as you've got this, the teeth up onto the edge in here, then you're good to go, and you can follow your edge along here, making sure that you've got that little bit of edge showing, and you can sew across. Again, I'm following that edge of my presser foot, sorry, of the zipper foot to the edge of my cloth on my zipper. Okay, I'm just going to pull my zipper foot up to get it out of the way. Watching that you've got your fabric just slightly off there, so it's nice and close underneath there, and finish it up. And then I'm going to come down a little bit past so I can sew across. Try that. And then I'm going to just sew right across and match it up to my other side here. And we'll just cut that off. And what I'm thinking is what I should have done is not match up this fabric, but left the white, because the white would have done fine for being up here, and then the pink wouldn't have shown so much on the white. So again, but you can see what I'm doing, and that's another reason why I did that, so for demonstration. Okay, so now what we're going to do is test our zipper, which is just great, but we're going to make sure that it is open when we do the rest of it, so we can turn our pillow to the other side. Again, our zipper is open, and now we're just bringing our backing to our front and matching up our raw edges, and we'll go around and sew our 1/2 inch seam allowance. I'll just pin all this in place. And then up on the top here, you'll just want to open that up, and then it won't be bulky on the other side, so when you're sewing that through. So just open it up like that, and then you can sew through. And then when I'm pinning, I will always pin in the middle, stretching it out, evening out both fabrics, grab it, pin in the middle. Because the flannel does have a bit of stretch to it, probably not my best choice of backing, but because I've got that for my quilt, I wanted to match it for the pillow. Easier if you've got a fabric that isn't stretching as much as a flannel, but it's okay. It's gonna work. All right, so around you go, pin it up, and we're gonna sew 1/2 inch seam allowance all the way around. And again, 1/2 inch all the way around. I've got a 1/2 inch marking on my sewing machine, so I will follow that. And when you get 1/2 inch this way, you can use your guide if you want. Sew down to that measurement and pivot. And around you go for the other side. You can clip your corners, but I'm choosing not to because I did all my work with the zigzagging, and I want to make sure that I've caught all my embroidery that's not going to get loosened up, and this isn't going to ravel out. I didn't worry about zigzagging the flannel because it doesn't ravel as much. So I'm leaving my corners alone. Because we made this pillow 1 inch smaller than our pillow form, I'm not also going to worry about rabbit ears. I'm just going to leave it the way it is. So time to turn this, and let's put the pillow form in. Because we left that zipper open, we can now turn it to the other side. And this is a tool I use quite often. It's the Alexanderson, and it's the 4 tools in 1. This is a presser to press for seams, and it has the seam ripper, and then on the other end it has the turning point for the corners, and inside it has the stiletto. So it's a really handy little tool. So I'm going to use this tool to come in to poke out my corners because it's not too sharp, but sharp enough to get our corners out. Now we can open our zipper all the way up, and let's get our pillow form and finish that pillow. Crease it in half, your pillow, so you can get it inside. You get half in, and then crease again. And then crease again. I'm just going to cut this tag up because it's crinkling and it doesn't sound nice inside the pillow. And now we can zip that back up. And you can see by making the pillow cover 1 inch smaller than the pillow form, it's made a really nice pillow that's firm and not puckering anywhere. So there you go, our pillow is finished. We have a cute little pillow to go with our quilt now. And that is the completion of our part 2 of our series, where we did all the beautiful embroidery work and we finished the pillow. Now stay tuned for part 3, and we'll get all these squares put together in a beautiful quilt to match our gorgeous little pillow. And that will then complete this that has been sitting in a bin for 32 years. Keep watching.